Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the SonicSage English podcast. I'm your host, Tracy, and I am very excited for our topic today. It is about everyone's favorite part of the week that is right. Today, we are talking all about the weekend and weekend plans. The weekend, Saturday and Sunday, is a time for rest and fun. Because of this, it is a very common and friendly topic of conversation. Talking about the weekend is a great way to make small talk and connect with people in a friendly way. So, let's start with the most basic and important questions you will hear. The number one question, especially on a Thursday or Friday, is, "What are you doing this weekend?" That is a very common and friendly question. But what is another way to ask the same thing? You can also ask, "Do you have any plans for the weekend?" Or a little more casually, simply, "Any plans for the weekend?" These are great questions to know. Now, why do people ask this? Are they being nosy? Not at all. It is simply a form of small talk. It is a way to show interest in the other person and to start a friendly conversation. They are not asking for a detailed schedule of your life. A simple, general answer is all you need. And we will talk about those answers in a moment. It is also good to know that on Monday, the question changes a little. Why? Because on Monday, the weekend is finished. So people will ask about the past. What is a common question on a Monday morning? A colleague or a friend might ask, "How was your weekend?" Or they might ask, "Did you have a good weekend?" And again, the purpose is to be friendly. It is a way to start the week with a positive social interaction. So, remember this rule. On Friday, people ask about your future plans. On Monday, they ask about your past activities. Exactly. Now let's focus on the future plans. Let's talk about how to answer the question, "What are you doing this weekend?" This can sometimes feel like a difficult question if you are not prepared. What if you do not have any plans? That is a very common situation, and it is perfectly okay to not have plans. So, what is a good way to say that? You can say something simple and positive. A very common answer is, "Not much, just relaxing." I like that one. It is honest, and it sounds nice. Relaxing is a great thing to do. Another great answer is, "I don't have any plans yet. How about you?" That is a fantastic strategy. You answer the question and then you politely return the question to the other person. This keeps the conversation going. You can also say, "I'm planning to just take it easy this weekend." Take it easy is a nice idiom that means to relax and not do too much. So, for our listeners, it is very important to know that saying you have no plans is a perfectly good answer. You do not need to invent a big, exciting story. That is a big relief. Now, what if you do have plans? How do you talk about them? The best way is to use a simple sentence structure. You can use the present continuous tense to talk about future plans. Let me give you an example. You can say, "I am going to the movies," or "I am meeting a friend for lunch." So you use "I am" and then the verb with ing. For example, "I am visiting my family." It is a very simple and natural way to describe your plans. Let's do a little role play now. Imagine it's Friday afternoon and I am asking you about your weekend plans. Ready? Hi there. Do you have any plans for the weekend? A good answer could be, yes, I do. I am going to the movies with my sister on Saturday. And I would respond, well, that sounds like fun. Anything good? And you might say, I hope so. It is a new comedy. And then on Sunday, I am just planning to relax at home. And then don't forget the polite part. You ask me back, what about you? I could reply, I don't have any big plans. I think I will probably just read a book and maybe go for a walk if the weather is nice. See, that was a perfect, simple conversation. The person gave a little bit of detail, but not too much, and they asked the question back, which is always polite. Let's practice a few more simple answers for common activities. What is another common weekend activity? Many people go out to eat. So, you could say, I am going to a restaurant with my friends. Or if you have children, you might say, I am taking my kids to the park. Some people have to work on the weekend. That is true. So a person might say, unfortunately, I have to work on Saturday. And some people use the weekend to do chores around the house. What are chores again? Chores are the small jobs you have to do, like cleaning or doing the laundry. So, you could say, I need to catch up on some housework this weekend. Catch up on is a great phrase. It means to do something that you did not have time to do earlier. So, there are many simple ways to answer. The most important thing is to be ready with a few simple phrases. I think we have covered the basics very well. Let's do a quick recap of this first part. What is the first key point for our listeners? The first point is to know the key questions. On a Friday, people ask, what are you doing this weekend? On a Monday, they ask, how was your weekend? It is good to be ready for both. And the second point? The second point is that it is perfectly okay to say you do not have plans. Use simple positive phrases like, not much, just relaxing, or I'm planning to take it easy. That is very reassuring. And what is our final point for this part? Our third point is that if you do have plans, you can describe them with a simple sentence. Use the structure I am plus a verb with can I am. For example, I am going to the movies or I am visiting my family. That is a perfect summary. Now we have the basic tools to have a simple conversation about the weekend. I just mentioned a very popular weekend activity, going to the movies. We should definitely talk more about that next. Going to the movies is a classic weekend plan for people of all ages. It is a fun way to escape for a couple of hours and see a new story on a big screen. So, let's break down the experience. You have decided you want to see a movie. What is the first step? The first step is to decide which movie you want to see. There are usually many different movies playing at the same time. How do you choose? It helps to know about the different movie genres. What is a genre? A genre is a type or a category of movie. The genre tells you what kind of story it is. Let's talk about some of the most popular genres. What is a very common one? A very common genre is comedy. A comedy is a funny movie. The goal is to make you laugh. If you want to have a light and fun experience, a comedy is a great choice. What is another popular genre? An action movie is another huge one. What happens in an action movie? Action movies are full of excitement. They have a lot of running, chasing, and fighting. They are very fast-paced and thrilling. So, if you want excitement, you choose an action movie. What if you want something a little more serious? Then you might choose a drama. A drama is a serious movie that is about realistic characters and their emotional stories. Dramas can be very powerful and make you think. What about a movie for the whole family? Then you would look for an animated movie. Animated movies are often cartoons, and they are usually made for children, but adults often love them too. And if you like to be scared, what genre is for you? That would be a horror movie. Horror movies are designed to be very scary. Personally, I do not like horror movies. They are too frightening for me. I much prefer a romantic comedy that is a movie that is a mix of a love story and a comedy. So, knowing the genre helps you choose a movie that you will enjoy. Once you have chosen your movie, you need to find out where and when it is playing. The place you go to see a movie is called a movie theater or a cinema, and you need to check the show times. The show times are the specific times that the movie starts. How can you find this information? The easiest way is to look online. You can search for the name of the movie theater, and their website will show you all the movies and their show times for that day. So, you might see that the new action movie is playing at 7, 0 inches the evening, and at 9, 30 inches the evening. You choose the time that works best for you. Now, you need to get your tickets. There are two main ways to do this. You can buy your tickets in advance online, or you can buy them at the movie theater. What is the advantage of buying them online in advance? If it is a very popular new movie, the show might sell out. This means all the tickets are sold. So, if you buy your ticket online, you are guaranteed to have a seat. Many online ticket services also let you choose your exact seat in the theater. But what if you are not sure of your plans? Then you can just buy your tickets when you get to the theater. When you arrive at the movie theater, you go to the box office. The box office is the counter where they sell tickets. Let's quickly practice a role play of buying tickets at the box office. I will take on both roles for a moment to show you a simple dialogue. Box office attendant, hello, how can I help you? Customer, hello, I'd like one ticket for the 7 show of the new comedy, please. Box office attendant, okay, one ticket. That will be $15. It is good to know that movie tickets can be quite expensive. You can pay with cash or a card. So, you have your ticket, but the experience is not complete without one more thing. You know what I'm talking about. Snacks. Before you go into the theater, you will see another counter. This is the concession stand. The concession stand is where they sell all the classic movie snacks. What is the number one most essential movie snack? It has to be popcorn. The smell of fresh, buttery popcorn is a huge part of the movie theater experience. You can buy it in different sizes like a small, medium, or large bucket? What other snacks are popular? People love to eat candy at the movies. You can buy boxes of chocolate or gummy candies. And of course, you need something to drink. The most common drink to get is a large soda. So, you get your big bucket of popcorn and your large soda. And now you are finally ready to go into the theater. You find your seat, the lights go down, the big screen lights up, and the movie begins. It is a wonderful and engaging experience. Let's do a quick recap of our trip to the movies. Choose your movie by understanding the different genres. Decide if you are in the mood for a comedy, an action movie, a drama, or something else. Plan your visit. Check the showtimes online and decide if you want to buy your tickets in advance or at the box office when you arrive. Do not forget the snacks. Stop at the concession stand for the classic movie experience of a big bucket of popcorn and a soda. That is a perfect summary. A trip to the movies is a great way to spend a weekend evening. It is! But sometimes a quiet weekend at home can be just as enjoyable. I agree completely. After a long and busy week of work, sometimes the best plan is to have no plans at all. A quiet weekend at home is a chance to rest, recharge, and do the simple things you enjoy. So, when someone asks you, "What are you doing this weekend?" and you plan to stay home, what are some good ways to describe your activities? We already mentioned saying, "I'm just planning to relax," or "I'm going to take it easy." Those are great general answers, but we can also talk about some of the specific, simple activities people do at home on the weekend. Let's make a list. What is a very common and relaxing at-home activity? I would say reading a book. I love that. The weekend is the perfect time to finally sit down and get lost in a good book without any interruptions. You can curl up on the sofa with a cozy blanket and a cup of tea and just read for hours. What does curl up mean? It means to get into a comfortable, curved position. It creates a feeling of being very cozy and relaxed. That sounds like a perfect afternoon. What is another popular activity? Watching television is a huge one. Of course. The weekend is a great time to catch up on your favorite TV shows. Many people have shows that they record during the week because they are too busy to watch them. The weekend is their chance to see what happened, and with streaming services, people can do something called binge watching. What is binge watching? It is when you watch many episodes of the same TV show, one after another, all in one sitting. So, you could spend a whole Saturday afternoon watching 5 or 6 episodes of a drama series. Toi shin loi vesun nyamlun er fun truck. Toi da hio ron ye kokuban. Kichban chi chua loi tuai ku Tracy konko tierde. Fanduan ting viet, hei chi dinen yan vut, de dung choviek tau jong dok. Duide la fon kichban da dok chinsulai huantuan, theo ye ko kuban, chi kon loridon lien tuk kua Tracy. It is a very popular way to relax and immerse yourself in a story. You can, of course, watch a movie at home by renting a new one online or watching one of the thousands of movies available on a streaming service. It is much cheaper than going to the movie theater, and you can pause the movie whenever you want to get a snack. And, most importantly, you can watch it in your pajamas. That is the best part. So, reading and watching TV or movies are great ways to relax your mind. What about activities that are a little more active but still at home? Cooking a nice meal is a wonderful weekend activity. I agree completely. During the week, my meals are often very quick and simple because I am tired after work. But on the weekend, you have more time. You can try a new recipe or cook something that takes a little more effort. You can go to the grocery store on Saturday morning, buy some fresh ingredients, and then spend the afternoon cooking. It can be a very creative and satisfying process, and then you get to enjoy a delicious home-cooked meal. It is a wonderful way to treat yourself. Some people also enjoy baking on the weekend. Baking is when you make things like cakes, cookies, or bread in the oven. The smell of a cake baking in the oven is one of the best smells in the world. What about other hobbies people do at home? Many people have creative hobbies. For example, some people like to play a musical instrument, like the guitar or the piano. The weekend gives them the time to practice and enjoy making music. Other people might have hobbies like painting, drawing, or knitting. These are all wonderful, relaxing activities that you can do in the comfort of your own home. The weekend is also a very important time for many people to do their household chores. That is a very practical point. It is not always fun, but it is necessary. We talked about chores before. What are the common weekend chores? A big one is doing the laundry. Many people save up all their dirty clothes from the week and wash them on Saturday or Sunday. Cleaning the house is another big one. You can do a more thorough cleaning on the weekend than you have time for during the week. You can vacuum all the carpets, mop the floors, and clean the bathroom and kitchen. It feels very good to start the new week with a clean and tidy house. Another common weekend chore is grocery shopping. Yes, many people do their big grocery shop for the whole week on the weekend. The grocery stores are often very busy on Saturday and Sunday mornings. If you have a yard or a garden, the weekend is the time to take care of it. You might need to mow the lawn, which means to cut the grass. Or you might do some gardening like planting flowers or watering your vegetables. So, the weekend can be a mix. It can be a time for relaxing hobbies and also a time for productive chores. It is all about finding a good balance. You want to feel rested, but you also want to feel prepared for the week ahead. Let's do a quick recap of the activities for a quiet weekend at home. Relaxing and entertainment. A quiet weekend is a perfect time to read a good book, binge watch your favorite TV series, or cook a special meal. Personal hobbies. Many people use the weekend to enjoy their creative hobbies at home, like playing a musical instrument or painting. Practical side. It is a very common time to catch up on household chores, such as cleaning the house, doing the laundry, and doing the grocery shopping for the week. That is a great summary. It shows that a weekend at home can be both restful and productive. A weekend is also a great time to be social. Spending time with friends is one of the best parts of the weekend. But to do that, You first need to make a plan. This means you need to invite your friend and decide on an activity together. Let's break down the process of making a plan. It all starts with an invitation. An invitation is when you ask someone to do something with you. There are many different ways to invite a friend. You can call them on the phone, send them a text message, or ask them in person. Let's focus on the language. What are some good polite phrases to use when you are inviting a friend to do something? A very common and friendly way to start is with the question, "Are you free?" For example, you could say, "Are you free on Saturday evening?" This is a great first question because it checks if they are available before you suggest an activity. That is very smart. You are not putting them in an awkward position. Another great phrase is, "Do you want to?" For example, "Do you want to see a movie on Friday night?" This is a little more direct because you are suggesting the activity right away. It is very common and friendly. A slightly more formal but very polite way to ask is, "Would you like to?" An example is, "Would you like to get dinner with me this weekend?" That sounds very nice. Let's do a simple role play of an invitation, where I will imagine I am inviting a friend via text message. I would text, "Hi, are you free on Saturday afternoon?" The friend might text back, "Hi, yes, I think so. What did you have in mind?" "What did you have in mind?" is a great phrase. It means, "What are you thinking of doing?" So now you can suggest the activity. I would text back, "I was thinking of going for a walk in the park. The weather is supposed to be beautiful. Would you like to join me?" That is a perfect invitation. It is clear, it gives a nice reason, and it is a polite question. Now let's talk about how you can respond to an invitation. You can say yes or you can say no. Let's start with saying yes. What are some good phrases to accept an invitation? You could say, "That sounds like a great idea," or "That sounds fun." "I'd love to," is another wonderful, enthusiastic response. So, in our role play, the friend would text back, "A walk in the park sounds lovely. I'd love to join you." Now that you have accepted, the next step is to agree on the details. What are the important details? You need to agree on a time and a place to meet. So you might ask, "What time works for you?" Or, "Where should we meet?" Let's continue our role play. I will suggest a time. "Great! How about we meet at 2:00 the afternoon?" The friend would confirm, "2 works for me. Should we meet at the park entrance?" "Perfect. See you on Saturday at 2:00. See you then." And now we have a plan. It was a very smooth and easy process. Now, what if you have to say no to an invitation? This can be a little tricky. You do not want to hurt your friend's feelings. The most important thing is to be polite and to thank them for the invitation. So, you could say, "That sounds really fun, but I'm afraid I can't." It is also a good idea to give a simple, brief reason. You do not need a long story. So, you could say, "I'm sorry, but I already have other plans," or "I have to work on Saturday." Let's do another role play. This time, I will imagine I am inviting you to a movie, but the friend has to say no. I would ask, "Hi, Do you want to go see the new action movie on Friday night? A perfect polite response would be, "Hi, thanks so much for the invitation. That sounds fun, but I'm afraid I already have plans on Friday." I would say, "Oh, okay, no problem. Maybe another time." And the friend should reply, "Definitely. Have a great time at the movie." That was a perfect way to decline. The friend was polite, they thanked me, they gave a simple reason, and they left the door open for a future invitation by saying, "Definitely." Sometimes you might not have a specific plan in mind. You just want to see your friend. In that case, you can make a suggestion instead of a direct invitation. What is the difference? A suggestion is a more open question. You are asking for their ideas too. What is a good phrase for making a suggestion? You could say, "We should get together this weekend." That is a nice, open-ended start. Then you could ask, "Is there anything you would like to do?" This is a very cooperative way to make a plan. You are deciding together. Your friend might say, "I'm not sure. What are you in the mood for?" What are you in the mood for is a great question. It means, what kind of activity do you feel like doing? Then you can suggest a few options. We could go to a restaurant, or we could see a movie. What do you think? This process of suggesting and discussing is a very common way that friends make plans. It is all about communication and finding an activity that you both will enjoy. Let's do a quick recap of how to make plans with a friend. 1. Inviting. Know the polite phrases for inviting someone. Use questions like, "Are you free on Saturday?" Or, "Would you like to get dinner?" 2. Responding. If you are accepting, say something positive like, "That sounds fun." If you are declining, be polite, thank them, and give a simple reason. 3. Collaborating. Use open suggestions like, "We should get together this weekend," and ask for your friends' ideas to decide on an activity together. That is a perfect summary. These are the social skills you need to organize a fun weekend. And one of the most common plans friends make is to go out for a meal. We should talk more about that experience. Yes, dining out at a restaurant is a huge part of weekend culture. It is a time to relax, enjoy good food, and have a good conversation. We have touched on some parts of the restaurant experience before, but let's go through the whole process in more detail. So, you and your friend have decided you want to go to a nice restaurant on Saturday night. What is a very important first step, especially for a popular place? For a popular restaurant on a busy night like Saturday, it is a very good idea to make a reservation. What is a reservation? A reservation is when you call the restaurant in advance to book a table for a specific time. Why is this important? Because popular restaurants can get very full. If you just show up without a reservation, they might not have a table for you, and you might have to wait for a very long time. Making a reservation guarantees that you will have a table when you arrive. Exactly. Let's do a role play of making a reservation over the phone. I will take both parts again to show you the flow. Good evening, the City Bistro. How can I help you? Hello, I'd like to make a reservation for this Saturday, please. Okay, for how many people? For 2 people. And what time would you like? Is 7:30 inches the evening available? Let me check for you. Yes, we do have a table for two at 7:30. What name should I put the reservation under? The name is Tracy Johnson. Okay, Miss Johnson. I have you down for a table for two at 7:30 this Saturday. We will see you then. Thank you very much. Goodbye. That was a perfect and very typical reservation call. It was clear and efficient. So, it is Saturday night. We arrive at the restaurant at 7:30. What do? You go to the host or hostess at the front and you say, "Hello, I have a reservation for two under the name Johnson." The host will then check their book and say, "Yes, right this way," and they will lead you to your table. Now, you are at your table. The server comes over. They will ask for your drink order first. Yes. But in a nicer restaurant, they might also tell you about the specials. What are the specials? The specials are special dishes that are not on the regular menu. They are available just for that day or that week. The server might say, "Tonight, our specials are a grilled salmon with asparagus and a mushroom risotto." It is a good idea to listen carefully to the specials, as they are often very fresh and delicious. After you order your drinks, the server will give you some time to look at the menu and decide on your food. A restaurant menu is usually divided into sections. What are the common sections? 1. The first section is usually appetizers. Appetizers are small dishes that you eat at the very beginning of the meal before your main food. Examples of appetizers are a small salad, a bowl of soup, or some bread with a special dip. 2. The next and most important section is the main courses or entree. The main course is the biggest part of your meal. This is where you will find the dishes with meat, fish, or pasta. 3. And the final section is desserts. Desserts are the sweet dishes you eat at the end of your meal, like cake, ice cream, or pie. You usually do not order your dessert at the same time as your main course. The server will ask you about dessert after you have finished your main meal. So, the server comes back to the table and asks, "Are you ready to order? Let's practice ordering a full meal." I will take both parts again to demonstrate. Yes, I think we are ready. For my appetizer, I'll have the garden salad. And for my main course, I would like the grilled chicken, please. That is a very clear and polite order. I will have the tomato soup to start and then the pasta with vegetables for my main, please. The phrase "to start" is a great way to talk about your appetizer. So, the server takes your order, you enjoy your meal, you have a nice conversation with your friend. At the end of the meal, the server will come and ask, "Did you save room for dessert?" If you want dessert, you can order it then. If not, you can say, "No, thank you, we are full." And what is the next thing you say? You then ask for the bill. You can say, "Could we have the check, please?" The server will bring the bill to your table in a small folder. Now, you have to decide how to pay. If you are with a friend, you might want to split the bill. What does split the bill mean? It means you each pay for your own part of the meal. This is very common in the United States. so you don't have to worry about one person paying for everything. Not at all. When the server brings the bill, you can just say, "Could we split this, please?" The server will then either bring you two separate bills or they will take your two credit cards and charge half to each one. It is a very easy and normal process. And of course, we must talk about the final step one more time. Tipping. Yes, in a sit-down restaurant, tipping is not optional. It is a required part of the dining experience, and the standard amount is between 15 and 20% of the total bill. If you had really excellent service, you might leave a little more, like 22 or 25%, but you should never leave less than 15% unless the service was truly terrible. It is a very important cultural rule to follow. Let's do a quick recap of the dining out experience. 1. Reservation. The first point is to make a reservation if you are planning to eat at a popular restaurant on a busy night. This will guarantee you a table. 2. Menu. The second point is to understand the structure of the menu. Know the difference between appetizers, main courses, and desserts, and listen for the daily specials. 3. Payment. Our third point is about paying the bill. It is very common to split the bill with a friend, and it is absolutely essential to leave a tip of at least 15 to 20% for your server. That is a perfect summary. Now we know how to plan and enjoy a wonderful meal out with a friend. That is right. And after you have had your meal or seen a movie, it is fun to talk about it. That is a great point. Talking about a shared experience is a big part of spending time with friends. Yes, it is how you connect and share your opinions. Let's focus on talking about a movie you just saw. This is a very common conversation. You walk out of the movie theater, and the first thing you say to your friend is usually a question. What is that question? You will probably ask, "So, what did you think?" That is the classic question. It is an open question that invites your friend to share their general opinion of the movie. What is another way to ask the same thing? You could ask, "Did you like it?" This is a more direct yes or no question. So, how do you answer? Let's start with a positive opinion. You liked the movie. A simple and enthusiastic answer is a great way to start. You could say, "I loved it," or "It was great. I really enjoyed it." If you want to give a little more detail, you can say why you liked it. What are some of the things you can talk about? You can talk about the story. The story of a movie is also called the plot. So, you could say, "The story was so interesting. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time." On the edge of my seat is a great idiom. It means you were very excited and nervous about what was going to happen next. You can also talk about the people in the story. These are the characters. The actors are the real people who play the characters. So you could say, "The actors were amazing. The main character was very believable." You can also talk about how the movie looked. You could say, "It was a beautiful movie. The way it was filmed was incredible." That is a simpler way to talk about cinematography. So let's do a role play of a positive review. We just saw a great action movie. I will ask you what you thought. What did you think of the movie? A great response would be, "Oh, I loved it. It was so exciting." And I would reply, "I agree. The action scenes were incredible." Then the friend could add, "Yes, and the main actor was so good. I really believed he was a superhero." I would say, "Me too. And the story was surprisingly clever. I did not expect the ending." The friend could conclude, "I know, that was a great twist. I would definitely recommend this movie to my other friends." That was a great, simple conversation. We shared our positive opinions and agreed with each other. Now, what if you did not like the movie? How do you express a negative opinion politely? This can be a little more difficult, especially if your friend really liked it. You don't want to be too negative and ruin their happy feeling. So, it is a good idea to soften your language. What do I mean by soften your language? It means you use words that are not too strong or direct. Instead of saying, "It was a terrible movie," what could you say? You could say, "It wasn't my favorite." That is a very polite and gentle way to say you did not like it. Another good phrase is, "It was okay, but." The "but" is very important. It allows you to add your reason. So, you could say, "It was okay, but I thought the story was a little boring." Or, "The actors were good, but the plot was very predictable." Predictable means you knew what was going to happen. Let's do a role play of this situation. We just saw a romantic comedy. I loved it, but the friend did not. This is a good challenge. I would start, "Wow, I thought that was a great movie. It was so funny and sweet. What did you think?" The friend would reply, "I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was okay, but to be honest, it wasn't really my cup of tea." Not my cup of tea is a fantastic idiom. It means not the type of thing that I like. It is a very polite way to express a dislike. So, what would I say next? I would probably ask, "Oh, really? What didn't you like about it?" And the friend could answer, "I just found the story to be a little predictable. I knew they were going to get together in the end." I would conclude, "That's fair. I can see that, but I still thought it was charming." In this conversation, we had different opinions, but it was still a friendly and respectful discussion because the friend used soft language and I acknowledged the opinion by saying, "That's fair." It is not a debate. It is just sharing your personal feelings about a piece of art. After you have talked about the movie, you might want to give it a rating. Yes, people often rate movies on a scale. For example, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is the best. So you could ask your friend, "What would you rate it out of 10?" And they might say, "I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Or people use a star rating, usually out of 5 stars. I would give that movie 4 out of 5 stars. This is a quick and easy way to summarize your overall opinion. Let's do a quick recap of how to talk about a movie you saw. 1. Starting. The first point is to start the conversation with a simple, open question like, "What did you think?" 2. Opinion. The second point is to know how to express your opinion. If you like the movie, you can talk about the great story or actors. If you did not like it, Use soft language like, it wasn't my favorite, or it wasn't my cup of tea. 3. Rating. Our third point is that you can use a simple rating system to summarize your opinion. You can rate the movie on a scale of 1 to 10 or give it a star rating out of 5. That is a great summary. These phrases can be used to talk about more than just movies. They can. And while going out is fun, sometimes it is just as nice to stay in and be social. That is so true. Having friends over to your home is a wonderful and popular weekend activity. Yes, hosting a small get-together at your apartment or house. What does hosting mean? To host an event means you are the person who has invited the guests and is providing the space and the food. You are the host, and the people you invite are your guests. Let's talk about a very casual and common type of get-together. Just having a few friends over on a Saturday evening to hang out. Hang out is a great casual phrasal verb. It just means to spend time together in a relaxed way. So, you have invited 2 or 3 friends to come to your apartment at 7. What are your responsibilities as the host? The first responsibility is to make your home feel welcoming. What does that mean in a practical sense? It means you should do a little bit of tidying up before your guests arrive. You do not need to do a deep clean, but you should make sure the main areas, like the living room, are neat. So, you put away any clutter and maybe make sure the bathroom is clean. Yes, it shows respect for your guests. You can also create a nice atmosphere by playing some soft music in the background. That is a great idea. It makes the space feel more relaxed. When your guests arrive and ring the doorbell, what is the first thing you do as the host? You open the door with a big friendly smile and you greet them warmly. What are some good welcoming phrases? You can say, "Hi, come on in," or "I'm so glad you could make it." Come on in is very friendly and casual. It invites them into your home. After they step inside, the next thing you should do is offer to take their coat or their jacket. That is a very polite gesture. You can say, "Let me take your coat for you." Then you can hang their coat in a closet or put it on a chair. After the greeting, what is the next responsibility of the host? The next thing is to offer your guests something to drink. This is a very important part of being a good host. You should do this very soon after they arrive. What is a polite way to offer a drink? You can ask, "Can I get you something to drink?" And it is a good idea to give them some options. Yes, you could say, "I have water, juice, or some soda. What would you like?" This makes it easy for the guest to choose. Let's do a little role play of a guest arriving. I will play both the host and the guest ringing the doorbell. "Hi, come on in. I'm so glad you could make it." "Hi, thanks so much for having me." "Of course. Let me take your jacket." "Thank you. Can I get you something to drink?" "I have some sparkling water or some iced tea." "Oh, a glass of iced tea would be great. Thank you." That was a perfect welcoming arrival. As the host, you also need to provide some simple snacks. Yes, you do not need to cook a huge meal for a casual get-together, but having some snacks is important. What are some good, easy snacks to serve? A bowl of potato chips or pretzels is always a good simple choice. You could also have a bowl of nuts or a small plate of cheese and crackers. The idea is to have something that people can easily eat while they are talking and mingling. What does mingling mean? Mingling is when you walk around and talk to different people at a party or a get-together. The main job of the host is to make sure everyone feels comfortable and included. How can you do that? If you have guests who do not know each other, you should introduce them. That is a very important role. You can say, "This is my friend name from work. You both work in marketing." Mentioning something they have in common is a great way to help them start a conversation. Now, let's switch roles. What are the responsibilities of being a good guest? This is just as important. The first responsibility is to arrive on time or at least not too late. Yes, it is also a very common and polite custom to bring a small gift for the host. This is often called a host gift or a hostess gift. What is a good example of a host gift? You should not bring something big or expensive. It is just a small token of appreciation. A bottle of wine is a very common choice, or a small box of nice chocolates. You could also bring a small dessert like some cookies that you baked. When you give the gift, you can say, "This is just a little something for you. Thanks for having us over." It is a very thoughtful gesture. What else should a good guest do? A good guest should be a good conversationalist. They should try to talk to the other guests. And at the end of the evening, it is polite to offer to help clean up. Yes, you can say to the host, "Let me help you with those dishes." The host will probably say, "Oh no, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it." But the offer is what is important, and when you are leaving, you must thank the host. You can say, "Thank you so much for a wonderful evening. I had a great time." This makes the host feel that their effort was appreciated. Let's do a quick recap of hosting friends at home. 1. Good host. The first point is that a good host makes their guests feel welcome. This means greeting them warmly, offering them a drink right away, and introducing them to the other guests. The host sets the tone. 2. Good guest. The second point is about being a good guest. It is polite to arrive on time, to bring a small host gift like a bottle of wine, and to be an active and friendly participant in the evening. 3. Gratitude. Our final very important point is the importance of gratitude. At the end of the get-together, a good guest always thanks the host for a lovely time. This simple act of appreciation is a key part of the social ritual. That is a perfect summary. These social skills are what make a simple evening at home a truly special and connecting experience. That is right. Whether you go out or stay in, there are many different ways to spend a weekend. That is a great point. The perfect weekend looks very different for different people. Yes, I think we can group weekend styles into two main categories. There are active weekends and there are relaxing weekends. That is a great way to think about it. Let's talk about the active weekend first. What does an active weekend look like? An active weekend is all about moving your body, being outdoors, and having adventures. So, this is the opposite of a quiet weekend spent reading on the sofa. Exactly. For a person who loves an active weekend, Saturday and Sunday are a time for sports and exploration. What are some common activities for an active weekend? We talked about hiking in a previous episode. Going for a long hike in a state park or in the mountains is a classic active weekend plan. It is a great way to get a lot of exercise and to see some beautiful nature at the same time. Another popular activity is going for a bike ride. Yes, you can go for a long ride on a bike path or explore some country roads. If you live near the water, an active weekend might involve water sports. Like what? Things like kayaking, paddleboarding, or even sailing. These are all wonderful ways to be active on the water. For some people, an active weekend might mean playing a team sport. That is true. There are many amateur sports leagues for adults that play their games on the weekend. So you might have a soccer game on Saturday morning or a softball game on Sunday afternoon. This is a very social way to be active. You are exercising and spending time with your teammates. Even just going to the gym for a workout or attending a yoga class can be part of an active weekend. So, what are the benefits of having an active weekend? Why do people choose this style? I think the biggest benefit is for your physical health. Of course, all of these activities are a form of exercise. They are good for your heart, your muscles, and your overall fitness. After a week of sitting at a desk in an office, it can feel amazing to get outside and move your body. It is a great way to release energy and physical tension. Another big benefit is the sense of accomplishment. What do I mean by that? At the end of an active weekend, you can look back and say, "Wow, I climbed a mountain this weekend," or "I biked 30 miles." It can make you feel very strong and proud of what your body can do. It is a great boost for your self-confidence. And being in nature, which is a big part of many active weekend plans, is also very good for your mental health. Yes, the fresh air and the beautiful scenery can be very calming and inspiring. So, an active weekend is great for your body, your confidence, and your connection to nature. Now, let's talk about the other style, the relaxing weekend. The relaxing weekend is my personal favorite. Mine too, sometimes. What is the main goal of a relaxing weekend? The main goal is to rest, recover, and recharge your mental and emotional batteries. So, it is less about physical activity and more about mental and emotional peace. Exactly. We have already talked about many of the activities of a relaxing weekend. Yes, things like staying at home to read a book, watch movies, or listen to music. A relaxing weekend might also involve some quiet, gentle activities outside the home. Like what? You might go for a slow, leisurely walk around your neighborhood. Leisurely means you are not in a hurry. You might visit a museum or an art gallery. This is a very calm and culturally enriching way to spend an afternoon. Or you might spend some time in a quiet coffee shop just sipping a latte and watching the world go by. A relaxing weekend can also be a time for self-care. What is self-care? Self-care is any activity that you do deliberately in order to take care of your mental, emotional, and physical health. So, what are some examples of self-care activities for a relaxing weekend? Taking a long hot bath is a classic one. It is a great way to relax your muscles and your mind. Cooking a healthy and delicious meal can be a form of self-care. And something as simple as taking a nap in the afternoon is a wonderful act of self-care. It is listening to your body when it tells you it is tired. So, what are the benefits of a relaxing weekend? The most obvious benefit is that you get to rest. Our modern lives can be very busy and stressful. The weekend is a crucial time to allow your body and your mind to recover from that stress. If you're always busy, even on the weekends, you can get very tired and burned out. What does burned out mean? Burnout is a state of complete physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion. A relaxing weekend is the best way to fix burnout. It helps you start the new week feeling refreshed and with more energy. A relaxing weekend also gives you time for quiet reflection. It gives you the mental space to think about your life, your goals, or to just let your mind wander and be creative. So, a relaxing weekend is essential for stress reduction, recovery, and mental clarity. Now, is one of these styles better than the other? Is an active weekend better than a relaxing one? Not at all. They are just different. And the best style for you depends on your personality and what you need that particular weekend. That is a very important point. Sometimes, after a very stressful week at work, what you need is a completely relaxing weekend. But other times, if you have been feeling a bit bored or stuck, an active, adventurous weekend might be the perfect thing to make you feel energized and excited about life again. And for many people, the perfect weekend is a mix of both styles. That is my ideal weekend. What would that look like? You might have an active Saturday. You go for a hike in the morning and then meet friends for dinner. And then you have a relaxing Sunday. Sleep in late, read a book, and cook a nice dinner at home. That sounds like the perfect balance of activity and rest. It is all about listening to yourself and understanding what you need. Let's do a quick recap of these different weekend styles. 1. Active weekend. This is for people who love to move their bodies and be outdoors. It involves activities like hiking, biking, and playing sports. And its main benefits are for physical health and a sense of accomplishment. 2. Relaxing weekend. This is focused on rest and recovery. It involves quiet activities like reading, watching movies, and practicing self-care. Its main benefits are stress reduction and mental clarity. 3. Balance. Neither style is better than the other. The best weekend is often a balance of both active and relaxing elements. It is important to listen to your body and mind to decide what you need each weekend. That is a perfect summary. This idea of balance is so important, and it leads to the bigger question of why we have weekends at all. It is at the heart of why we have weekends in the first place. It is about the balance between work and life. That is a very deep and important topic. Let's talk more about the importance of work-life balance. What do we mean by work-life balance? It is the idea that you need to have a healthy and balanced relationship between your job and your personal life, so your work should not take over your entire life. You also need time for your family, your friends, your hobbies, and for yourself. Exactly. The weekend is the most important and structured way that our society creates this balance. It is a protected time for life, not for work. In theory, yes. The traditional idea of the 5-day work week from Monday to Friday and the 2-day weekend, Saturday and Sunday, was created for this reason. It was a way to give workers a guaranteed time for rest and leisure. Why is this so crucial for our well-being? I think the biggest reason is to prevent burnout. We mentioned that term in the last part. Yes, the feeling of being completely exhausted. If you work all the time, 7 days a week, without any real breaks, your body and your mind do not have time to recover. You are constantly using your energy, but you are never refilling it. And over time, this can lead to serious problems. It can make you feel very stressed, anxious, and unhappy. It can also make you less productive at your job. That is a great point. A person who is well rested and happy is a much better worker than a person who is tired and burned out. So taking time off on the weekend is not lazy. It is actually a very smart and productive thing to do. It is an investment in your long-term health and your ability to do good work. The weekend also gives us a chance to connect with the important people in our lives. This is so important. Our relationships with family and friends are a huge source of our happiness. But during the busy work week, it can be hard to find quality time to spend with them. You might be tired in the evenings, or you might have to work late. The weekend provides a dedicated time for these relationships. You can have a long, relaxed dinner with your family. You can spend a whole afternoon in the park with your kids. Or you can go out with your friends and just have fun and laugh. These shared experiences are what build strong, healthy relationships. Without the weekend, it would be much harder to maintain these important social connections. The weekend is also a time for personal identity. What do I mean by that? Our jobs are a big part of who we are, but we are more than just our jobs. That is a beautiful thought. I am not just a podcast host. You are also a person who loves to read and to cook. And you are a person who loves to hike and play the guitar. The weekend is the time when we get to be these other parts of ourselves. It is when we get to explore our hobbies and interests. It is a time for the things we do for love, not for money. These activities are so important for our sense of self. They make our lives richer and more interesting. They remind us that our value as a person is not just based on our professional success. Now, in the modern world, this idea of work-life balance can be very challenging. Why is that? Because of technology, like smartphones and laptops. How does technology affect work-life balance? It can blur the lines between work and life. What does blur the lines mean? It means it makes the separation between the two things less clear. I see. So, because you have your work email on your phone, you might be tempted to check your messages on a Saturday or Sunday. Exactly. Your work can follow you home in your pocket, and your boss might send you a message on the weekend, and you might feel like you have to answer it right away. This can make it very difficult to truly disconnect and relax. It feels like you are always on call. So in today's world, Creating a good work-life balance requires a conscious effort. What does a conscious effort mean? It means you have to actively and deliberately make a choice to protect your personal time. So you might need to make a rule for yourself. What kind of rule? You might say, on the weekend, I am not going to check my work email, or I will only check it for 30 minutes on Sunday evening to prepare for the week. It is about setting boundaries. A boundary is a limit that you set to protect yourself. You are telling yourself and maybe your colleagues that your weekend time is important and needs to be respected. This is a very important skill for modern professionals to learn. It is essential for long-term happiness and for preventing burnout. The weekend is a gift. It is a time to step away from the demands of work and to focus on the other things that make life beautiful. That is a perfect way to put it. Let's do a quick recap of the importance of work-life balance. 1. Rest and recovery. The first point is that the weekend is a crucial time for rest and recovery. It is essential for preventing burnout and ensuring that you have the energy to be productive during the week. 2. Social and personal life. The second point is that the weekend provides dedicated time for your social and personal life. It is a time to strengthen your relationships with family and friends and to enjoy your personal hobbies and interests. 3. Conscious effort. Our third point is that in the modern world, with technology blurring the lines between work and life, it is important to make a conscious effort to protect your weekend. This means setting boundaries and truly disconnecting from your job. That is a perfect summary. This discussion really shows why talking about and planning for the weekend is such a meaningful part of our culture. It does. It is not just small talk. It is about how we create happy and balanced lives. Exactly. Now that we have explored everything from simple questions to the deep importance of the weekend, I think we are ready to put it all together. I agree. Let's create a final summary of the most useful and practical tips from our entire episode. This will be a great guide for our listeners to help them talk about their own weekend plans with confidence. Let's structure it as a review of the key skills we have learned. What is the first and most fundamental skill? 1. Mastering conversation starters. This is the foundation for everything. It includes knowing how to ask about the weekend on a Friday with questions like, "Do you have any plans for the weekend?" And it includes knowing how to ask about the weekend on a Monday with questions like, "How was your weekend?" It also includes having a few simple, ready answers. If you do not have plans, you can say, "Not much, just relaxing." If you do have plans, you can use the simple structure, "I am going to the movies." Mastering these simple exchanges is the key to starting a friendly conversation about the weekend. What is the second key skill we discussed? 2. Knowing activity vocabulary. The second skill is knowing the vocabulary for common weekend activities. This allows you to have a more detailed and interesting conversation. For example, if you are talking about going to the movies, it is helpful to know the words for different genres like comedy or action. And it is useful to know the words box office for buying tickets, and concession stand for buying snacks. If you are talking about a quiet weekend at home, it is good to have the vocabulary for your hobbies, like reading, cooking, or binge watching a TV show. Knowing these specific words helps you to express your own plans more clearly and to understand your friends' plans better. What is the third important skill? 3. Making plans with friends. The third skill is knowing how to make plans with a friend. This is a very active and social skill. You need to know how to invite someone politely using phrases like, "Are you free on Saturday?" or "Would you like to get dinner?" And you need to know how to respond to an invitation. Both how to say yes with a phrase like, "That sounds fun," and how to say no politely with a phrase like, "I'm sorry, but I already have plans." This skill is all about clear and respectful communication. It is how you turn a simple idea into a real plan. And what is our fourth and final key skill area? 4. Talking about experiences. The fourth area is being able to talk about your experiences after they happen. This is a great way to continue the conversation on Monday. Yes, it is about sharing your opinion. We practiced how to talk about a movie. You can start with the question, "What did you think?" And you can give your opinion either positive or negative. If you did not like something, it is polite to use soft language like, "It wasn't my cup of tea." These skills for sharing opinions are very versatile. You can use them to talk about a restaurant, a book, a concert, anything you did over the weekend. So to summarize our summary, the 4 key skills are starting the conversation, knowing the vocabulary for activities, making plans, and sharing your opinion afterwards. That is a fantastic and very clear breakdown of the whole episode. Final tips for English learners. Now, let's offer a few final tips for our listeners. What is one piece of advice you would give to someone who is nervous about making weekend plans in English? My advice would be to start small. What do I mean by that? Do not feel like you have to have a long, complex conversation. Just start with the basics. Practice asking your colleague, "Did you have a good weekend?" And practice giving a simple one-sentence answer. That is great advice. Just mastering that one small interaction can build a lot of confidence. What is your final tip? My tip would be to be a good listener. Why is that so important? When you ask someone about their weekend, really listen to their answer. This will give you something to talk about next time. That is a brilliant point. It shows that you care, and it turns simple small talk into a real connection. If your friend says they are going hiking, you can ask, "How was your hike?" on Monday. So, start small and be a good listener. Those are 2 wonderful pieces of advice. I think we have given our listeners a very complete guide to talking about the weekend. I hope so. The weekend is a universal concept, and talking about it is a great way to find common ground with people from any culture. It is a topic that is always positive and full of possibilities. That is all the time we have for today. We hope this episode helps you feel more confident when you are making your own weekend plans in English. Thank you all so much for listening to SonicSage English Podcast. We love making these lessons for you. If you found this episode helpful, please consider leaving us a like or a comment. It really helps our channel grow and helps other learners find us. And be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you will never miss a new episode. We have new lessons for you every week. We will be back soon with another practical and useful topic to help you on your English journey. Until then, take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful weekend and keep practicing. Goodbye, everyone.